Do we have something to propose?
Yes. So us, the applicant, have had some conversations, and they have agreed to contribute $30,000 towards off-site road improvements for traffic impacted by the development. That should be payable Oldham County Fiscal Court and due prior to any construction plan approvals if they would agree to that binding element. That would be incorporated into the binding elements that I'll read here in a second.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Mr. Galloway?
Yes, thank you. And thank you for everyone's time this morning. My client does agree to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Galloway. All right, Commissioners, we left off, we were in the midst of questions, so we're resuming that mode. Further questions? Further questions? All right, moving forward then. Mr. Galloway, we had no opposition testimony. We will have no rebuttal. Do you have any final statement do you wish to make for the commission?
Just very much wanted to thank everyone again for their time. I appreciate everyone's deliberateness and thoughtfulness in this project, and we request your approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Galloway. All right, Mr. Fisher, you are up.
All right. So on page 2 of your staff report, you do have suggested motions to approve or deny the development plan with the following proposed binding elements. The approval applies only to the plans presented at the February 25th, 2025 Oldham County Planning Commission public hearing. There shall be no changes to the plan without review by the Oldham County Planning Commission and Engineer's Office. The plan must comply with all established federal, state, and county ordinances and requirements and comply with all necessary easement restrictions at the time of construction plan approval. I did add another one in there only because we typically put in one that a landscape and lighting plan shall be permitted or submitted to staff for review and approval prior to any building permit submittal. And that's typically a standard one that we have. And then the fifth one, the applicant shall contribute $30,000 towards off-site road improvements for traffic infrastructure impacted by the development, which shall be payable to Oldham County Fiscal Court and due prior to any construction plan approval.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Mr. Galloway, may I get you back to the podium for just a second? We have 2 additional binding elements that were noted there.
Yes, those are acceptable. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I
Thank
do
you.
appreciate it. All right, Commissioners, questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Marsh?
question for Mr. Baxter. In the binding element addressing the actual dollar amount, are we setting a precedent where this board is negotiating? Should we just say?
Well, I don't think and I don't mean to cut you off.
Yes,
I don't
sir.
think the board was negotiating.
Okay.
Typically, those things are determined, and I think the issue was there was a discussion this morning before the hearing that kind of went back and forth. Typically, that is something that gets addressed beforehand. And the only reason we did it this way and the board didn't do this, it was negotiated between staff and the applicant. So,
Okay. So we can just refer to that negotiation instead of the dollar amount? Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I mean, so the dollar amount, though, is an agreed dollar amount. So
Yes.
Yes.
Per the agreement.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And Mr. Marsh, that language that we used was the exact same that we've used in Paramount. And so going forward, I hope to use the same language for each of them. That was the exact same language used.
Excellent. Thank you. That's what I was looking for.
All right, further questions? Further questions, Commissioners? All right. Hearing none, we are moving into motion making. The floor will be open. Mr. Douglas, is that you making a move?
I just make a face. You go,
Heck yeah, you're called on. All right, you got voluntold.
well, let me get organized. Mr. Chairman, regarding PZ-25-007, I make a motion that we approve the developmental plan because it complies with objectives, objectives LU1-1, LU-3-1, and objective T1-1, and T-1-3 of the comprehensive plan, and also complies with our Oldham County subdivision regulations and ordinances of zoning. And based on those reasons, also I would also imply that we approve the binding elements that was listed under Mr. Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Douglas. Mr. Baxter?
Mr. Douglas, would you agree to strike that it's in compliance with the subdivision regulations? Because this is actually just
correct.
as a-
It's a
very, very good. Otherwise, we have
Yes.
a good motion, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Baxter.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have discussion? Seeing none, we'll move into a roll call vote. Ms. Edgar?
Mr. Falvey,
Yes.
Mr. Gwynn,
Yes.
Ms. Walzer,
Yes.
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Marsh,
Yes.
Ms. Nasser,
Yes.
Mr. Elder,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
yes.
Ms. Kraus,
Yes.
Mr. Finney,
Yes.
Mr. Hampton,
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Edgar. And the development plan approval has passed on a vote 11-0. Thank you, everyone. All right. So, Ms. Barge.
I'm just getting their file.
Oh, okay.
Nothing exciting.
We want to do these training credits?
Yeah.
All right.
You ready for that?
Yep,
Okay,
that's
Mr.
me.
Fisher.
So we would like to request the board approve 3 hours of training credit for Ms. Nasser and Mr. Klingenfuss, who attended a manufactured housing summit out at the fairgrounds. I don't think there was anybody else there. I don't think I'm missing anybody. But for 3 hours, and I don't remember the date that we went to that. I kept trying to look at my phone, but I don't think I have it. I can't remember. But we went, they were there, I vouched for them, and they even stayed the whole time. So 3 hours of training for both of them for that manufactured housing summit.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Can I get a motion on the floor? Thank you. Mr. Falvey, is that your second? All right, we have a motion and a second. We're going to go by voice vote on this. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, like sign. And credits are approved. Thank you all, by the way, for going to that and taking care of that. Welcome aboard to Mr. Gwynn. What other business do we have today, Mr. Fisher?
So we do have items for next month's agenda. So we do have that meeting on March 25th. We will not have study review committee this month. I'm waiting to see what news comes out of the final days of the state legislature to figure out what they're going to pass and all that stuff before we continue meeting for things that may potentially get changed by state law. And then I would like to formally introduce Sandy Rugroden. She is our new Planner 1. I think I meant to formally introduce her last month, but you know how long a meeting that was. And I think at 4:30 I was just wanting to get out of here. So I don't know if I formally introduced her before, but she comes to us and has been with us now for a month.
She keeps coming back.
She keeps
That's a
coming
good
back,
thing.
so
Welcome
that's
aboard.
good. So that does make us fully staffed now with a senior planner and 2 planner 1s. And me, so we've got a full staff down there of 4. So you'll start to see her and John get incorporated into some things here before you all at the Planning Commission. And then this was a spur of the moment thing. I just had an idea since it was kind of a quick meeting. If anybody doesn't want to go anywhere for a little bit, if you all want to do a quick little 45 minutes of training for an hour and we can go over our staff packets. If anybody wants to stick around, you can. If not, it's not guaranteed, but it's an easier way to get your 8 hours of training every 2 years rather than watching YouTube videos. So if you do, we can stick around. If we got enough, we'll just talk about a few things.
Do that in here?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that closes our hearing for today, guys. Whoever wishes to stick around for a little training hours, a training hour, not plural.
Mr. King,
You're most welcome.
not televised, not recorded, just meeting?
Right.
Okay, thank you.